Anyways, we're now ready to speak all things, all right? Understanding how money flows in and out and how effective, budgeting can help individuals and families build a financially stable life, all right? And the fact that we are drifting towards the, I don't want to call it the festive season, the spending season. Yeah, that's the truth about it.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
it's important that we have this conversation. We start reminding each other on how we should then be able to plan for such, periods. Esther Piri has already joined us on set. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah?
Any relation to the boxer?
No, that's a question I get all the time, but yeah, no relation. It's actually from the East. I think there's a shortage of names. Really like the name Esther Piri.
Okay.
From the East, I don't know that many Esther Piris, actually.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think she's the third one.
For you?
Yeah.
No, she's the second outside Esther the boxer. You're the second one.
Okay,
Meeting, yeah. So yeah, what were you doing over the weekend?
Over the weekend, I spent some time watching the live band, and then went to church, and the rest of the time I was indoors. Like I like to say, outside costs money, so. Yeah,
but at least one or the other you spent.
Yes.
I can tell you the places where you spent money.
Where?
You said you went to church. You spent money there.
You dropped a couple of bucks there.
Of course.
Then you went for a live band.
Money there as well.
That's where actually.
You watched the live band man as drinking something.
Of course, yeah.
So that's where you spent more money.
Yes.
On the live band. Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
It was not bad.
It wasn't
the fact
too
that
bad.
you actually found one day to be indoors. That's fair.
I was saving on that day.
So it's festive period now, and this is a time that most people tend to spend, for lack of a better term, blindly.
Indeed.
Yeah?
Indeed. Yeah, and especially since holidays like Black Friday, New Year's Eve, Christmas itself, these are periods where spending can be really high. But what I really like to say most of the time is that if it wasn't on the budget, no matter how cheap it is, you haven't saved, you spent money. And no retailer is making a loss when they make discounts. They actually plan for these discounts. And I spent the earlier part of my career working in sales, marketing, and the commercial department. So we budget for these discounts at the beginning of the year. So you're not really saving if it wasn't on your budget. You're still spending money. So it's important not to get excited around these big days. And remember that January is coming, you have school fees coming, and you have to plan for these things.
But Esther,
yes.
Imagine this cup was costing 40 kwacha.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's at 20 kwacha. How would it's like this is a lifetime opportunity.
If it wasn't on your budget, it's not a saving. It's still spending because it's income, it's expenditure which is outside of your budget lines. If it doesn't sit on any of the budget lines, you haven't saved.
So how do you cut the desire to get it?
I think it's also managing emotions. Money is incredibly emotional. So a lot of your spending blueprint comes from how you grew up. So if you find that you haven't healed from how you grew up, maybe you grew up in a situation of lack, you find yourself every time there's a small money, you feel the need to really spend and show people that now I have it.
Okay.
Or maybe sometimes other people growing up in a situation where maybe there was lack in childhood, you never really had enough. You're always afraid to spend. That's a birthplace of castle. You're always afraid to spend because you feel like money. You feel like money never sits with you.
I know someone.
So you're holding on to it.
Yeah.
You're about to fend your man's sunga gule. You're holding on to it.
Yo.
Money is deeply emotional.
Right.
Yeah. So it's important to manage your emotions around.
I can relate.
Yes.
I can relate. This is a little bit personal, but I think for the sake of the viewers and everybody else, I should share
It's a teachable moment.
I actually used to tell Dad that. I said, Bali, you've got everything. Bring it. Dad would go like, no. You don't know what I went through to get this. I don't want to.
But you feel like when money comes, it doesn't come to stay. So every time you have it, you're trying not to lose it. So a lot of it is just blueprint. It's not only logical. And I'd use this moment to maybe encourage the listeners and the watchers, the viewers rather, to read the psychology of money and understand that money is just not figures, accounts, debit, credit, but there's a lot of emotional triggers behind it. And that's why the holidays, as we're speaking about, to stay on topic, the holidays are very important because there are a lot of emotional triggers in the holiday. You've come to the end of the year, you're excited, you want to throw a Christmas party and all those things. So manage your emotions.
I don't know whether you are aware to this statement. I think it's all over social media. Mostly it's used. And I think a lot of people fall prey to this statement where they would tell you it's not boasting. Okay? Tamasha na fuma.
I've suffered.
So let me enjoy. You understand?
Exactly. Money blueprints because of where they're coming from.
So in short, things you're seeing that maybe because you're older, you never had them then, you're just seeing them now. But then how can you balance the excitement of the fact that you're in a festive season and you need to ensure that you're not spending unnecessarily?
Okay, of course. So as I always say, the budget is meant for you. You are not created for the budget, but the budget is created for you to fit your plans, your lifestyle, the things that you have in mind. So when money comes, avoid excitement. December is coming. A lot of people have 13th checks and gratuity. So have a budget of the things that you need for that particular month, and then also know that January is going to come. And then we usually notice that cash flow is a bit slower in January. So don't spend to the point where January is suffering. And have your budget lines. Start with the most essential things. Make sure rent is paid. Make sure you have electricity, water, and food, and also school fees are coming. We know school fees come in January. They don't catch you by surprise. So ensure that you plan for them. And then when there's excess, that's when you can now go into leisurely activities. And I always say to plan for leisure, because whether you plan for it or not, you know that the activities are going to be there. So why not be proactive and plan for them? There's also a statement that is common in financial literacy, and that is the fact that money has to be sent. If money is not sent, it will go anyway. But why not be proactive and send it somewhere? What I mean by sending money is having a proactive plan before you get the money to say, I'm sending this to school fees, I'm sending this to saving, I'm sending this to investment. Otherwise, if you just have, let's say you've withdrawn 1,000, you're moving around with it in the pocket, because you don't have a plan for it in mind, you haven't sent it, it will go somewhere. You're walking around, oh, okay, you know what, I'm driving to work, I'm hungry, let me stop and get a pizza. You spend 200. Oh, okay, you've seen something in traffic. Oh, there's a hawker selling a shirt. You buy that particular shirt. But if you had planned in mind, you've sent the money somewhere. Say, this 1,000 in my pocket, I'm going to deposit it into savings, I'm going to buy units in a unit trust. That money won't be misspent because mentally you have sent it somewhere.
Right.
Money needs to be cultivated and cared for like a child. Money must be sent, otherwise it will go anywhere.
But we are fighting a lot of things.
Indeed.
We're fighting a lot of things. You know what? You used to be spontaneous. You're not spontaneous anymore. So there comes that thing. So how you can't live. People like I know others will say it's impulse buying, but be spontaneous. They say, right? Life is unpredictable.
Yes, that is true. But that's why on your budget you have to have that space for leisurely activities, and then don't burn yourself trying to keep others warm. You know what I mean? Where you are now in a fix, and then like you're struggling tomorrow. You've impressed your partner. You spent so much, but the whole month you've remained eating eggs only.
Interesting.
Don't touch eggs.
Why
Only eggs the whole month, because that's the only protein that you have left in your budget.
Talk to us directly.
The whole month.
We're going to talk about eggs like that. But anyway,
yes.
I know that January, talking about spending and being excited, I don't know if it's just for Zambia, but in most cases, most people are broke in January.
Yes.
I don't know whether this is just in Zambia or anywhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's actually very common. It's not just the impulse buying of the festive season, but it's also routine expenditure that catches you at the beginning of the year. That's why for certain things that you know you're going to spend for in January, it's better to have an allocation for it. For instance, supposing your routine expenditure is servicing your car after 5,000 Ks. You say maybe 5,000 Ks will hit me by January. My servicing for the car costs about maybe 2,000 kwacha. Why not 10 months prior car. Every month, I'm allocating 2,000 for that particular budget line. So that when the time comes, I'm not having to remove the entire 2,000 kwacha from the salary at once, but rather I was allocating 200 kwacha previously towards that particular budget line. Yeah. So it's the thing of wanting to pay out lump sums all at once. That's what catches you in a fix in January. So if you have routine expenditure, plan by removing small amounts for it.
Interesting.
And then the hidden expenses.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those ones?
Like talk time, data, just a few things here and there.
Yes.
They just look like, oh, it's click of a button, boom, you're sorted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ka Netflix, ka Chaika.
And those ones are actually
And they're automated.
and those ones are actually some of the most dangerous.
Yeah.
So when it comes to costs, there are two kind of costs. There are variable costs and there are fixed costs. Fixed costs, you can budget for them and say, okay, rent is a fixed cost. I know it costs so much. But then when it comes to consumption of things like data, which can be a bit variable, you can plan to say, okay, maybe this month do I have a lot of assignments? What do I need to do that requires me to be downloading maybe a lot of things and have those, let's say, variable costs.
Right.
So there are two kinds of costs. There are fixed costs and there are variable costs.
Right. What should people prepare for? The fact that we're already heading into the festive season, and I know that excitement is still there. Maybe you get some bonuses. You feel like, okay, I think I'm sorted at this point. Maybe I could go a little bit into my savings and maybe just try and spoil my family for the sake of coming together.
So when it comes to planning as we move forward, for those who are receiving gratuity is like a pension. Don't spend the pension on luxuries. It's better to put it into investments. I know when people get a gratuity, immediately they're thinking, let me go on a small holiday to see Avonga, but it's better to use money to make more money. The most enjoyable money I've ever received was from passive income, where let's say you are sitting and you receive dividend payments, you're just sitting. So use your gratuity for things like starting to earn passive income and put it into an investment. And then also stay debt minimal. It's always better to be at zero. Zero is having no debt than to start your life out in the negative. When you're getting into debt, what you're doing is that you're digging yourself into a hole. So stay debt minimal. Don't get too excited. I always say don't borrow for leisure. It's never a good idea. And don't borrow to get excessive luxuries or get too much car. There's such a thing as having too much car, and that is a car which is difficult for you to maintain. That is a car which is above your budget in terms of the initial cost of buying it. So stay debt minimal and don't get into buying things that have like a high cost of maintenance, money which would have otherwise been spent on investing. A lot of money management, I'll say this again, I've said it before, a lot of money management is managing your ego and managing your emotions. Don't get too excited and don't try to prove a point. The only person who's impressed by the things that you own is you. Most people will look at your fancy car and say, oh, great, that's a fancy car. But then 2 minutes later, they've forgotten. But you're the one who's going to be stuck with an expensive loan repayment. And I know I'm digressing a little bit, but let me speak a little bit on the debt side. I know we're talking about planning. So when it comes to getting into debt, understand the total cost of the debt, which is the effective annual rate.
Right.
This is how much you actually end up paying on the loan. So most people think that, let's say when you borrow, let's say 1,000 kwacha, and the interest rate is 25%, meaning what you're going to pay back is 1,250. But
Right.
depending on how those repayments are split, you might end up actually paying more. So always be informed. Ask the important questions from the people you are borrowing from. Ask what the effective annual rate is. That would give you a clear picture of how much you actually end up paying. Most people are in debt that they don't understand. They got into it and now they're digging themselves deeper in the hole because they acquired debt which was a lot more expensive than they realized.
Okay,
Interesting.
great. Are you a fan of Chester the artist?
Oh yes. He has quite some
You
big
know
hits.
that song called Mwakambalet?
Yes.
So there could be somebody who's watching and they're like, Wakambalet, I wish there's a
Too late.
zero.
Indeed.
So how do they come out of this mess?
Okay, all right. So manage debt like you are managing a crisis. You're in a hole. The first thing to do when you find yourself in a hole and you're trying to get out is obviously to stop digging. The second thing is that to restructure the money that you have right now towards paying more of your principal, because the loan gets cheaper if you pay more of the principal, because the repayment is calculated on a reducing balance. So if you're paying more of your principal, you're going to pay the loan off faster, and it's also going to be cheaper because there's less of the remaining balance for them to recalculate the interest on. The second thing is that be honest with people. Don't tell people I'm expecting a payment. You stop picking up calls. Nakuka, you haven't told the people who you owe money that you've moved, because a lot of people are more willing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are more willing to work with somebody who is honest and telling them this is the situation.
Right.
How can we restructure this payment? The third thing you can do is that stop trying to impress the Joneses. You are in a crisis. So if there are luxuries that you can do without, do away with them. If you can move into a smaller house, do that. If you can get rid of some of your assets, liquidate them, maybe sell your car and pay off some of the loan, do it. Because there's nothing that is sweeter than freedom. And owing someone feels like being in prison, especially if it's debt that you can't pay.
Hey, listen. Motakata wako atajikutisha sapato.
Start walking barefoot. Goodness me.
Indeed, but what I'm talking about.
But we understand.
Yes, you understand.
Yeah.
If there are things that you can do without, if you can take on a bit more extra debt, a bit more extra work rather, yeah. But don't borrow even more, because you find people playing draft with their debt. They borrow from this one to pay this one. You're simply moving pieces around, playing musical chairs with your debt.
Yeah.
You borrow from this one, you pay this one. You borrow from this one, you pay this one. But in the end, you end up never actually getting out of the debt. So if you don't have anything to sell, the best thing you can do is avoid getting into more debt. Yes.
Great.
Interesting stuff.
Thank you so much.
Esther, thank you so much for coming through.
All right, thank
It was
you
a great
so much.
conversation.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having more of such educative conversations, especially during this period. So we shall be having more of you as we,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to be in studio.
Great.